Chosen one, you were never just noticed, you were recognized. From the moment you walked into the room, before you said a word, eyes locked on you like they'd seen a ghost, or a king, or both. People stare at you like they remember you, but can't place from where. It's not your clothes, it's not your looks, it's the frequency you carry. You don't just walk into spaces, you shift them. The atmosphere bends, the silence deepens, the energy rearranges itself. Because you didn't come to take up space, you came to govern it. Chosen one, this is your call. This is not admiration. This is not coincidence. This is spiritual recognition. This is the mark of a throne that had your name on it before your body had bones. That feeling you've carried your whole life, the one that whispers, you're not like them. You thought it was rejection. It was actually revelation. They didn't misunderstand you by accident. They sensed a weight on you that couldn't be measured by this world. Even your silence feels loud, because your presence isn't personality, it's prophetic. Let me speak this clearly. You are not just attractive, you are assigned. You are not just interesting, you are identified. And the reason the throne was empty is because it was waiting on you to wake up, waiting on you to stand up, waiting on you to stop shrinking around people who were never qualified to confirm your destiny. Michael, the archangel of war, has already drawn his sword. The battleground is already marked. The gates are open. And heaven is not asking if you're ready. Heaven is announcing that you are. So here is your command, not your suggestion. Comment below, I claim the throne. Not for ego, but for assignment. Not for fame, but for function. Because when you rise, darkness retreats. When you speak, chains snap. And when you take your place, others find theirs. Share this message like you're passing a torch, because another chosen one is waiting for confirmation. They just need one voice to remind them they're not alone. This isn't just a video. This is a prophetic transmission. This is a summons. You've been hidden long enough. You've been silent long enough. You've been doubting long enough. The throne was never empty by accident. It was preserved for such a time as this. Chosen one, now sit on it. Chosen one. You've noticed it, haven't you? You walk into a space, and the temperature shifts. The atmosphere softens. The energy adjusts. People go quiet as if someone important just entered, but they don't even know why. You're not wearing a crown. You're not announcing your arrival. You're not doing anything except being who you are. Yet somehow, the environment recognizes your frequency before anyone even says your name. Strangers glance at you. Children stare with wide, wondering eyes. Conversations slow. Some even stop mid-sentence. And though no one can explain it, everyone feels it. Because your presence is not passive, it's prophetic. This is not charisma. This is not mere vibe. This is the light inside of you stepping into darkness. And without a word, it wins. You've always had it. Even as a child, you felt it. That sense of being watched even when you were alone. That inner awareness, like heaven had a camera on you. Like your life was under divine surveillance, because your mission had already been marked before you knew how to spell your name. There were days you couldn't explain it to anyone. Why you felt different. Why you walked through crowds and still felt unseen, yet somehow seen too much. There were moments when you felt like a walking paradox, fully present, yet not fully belonging. That is the mark of the chosen. You weren't made to blend in. You weren't wired to fade into the background. Even your silence has weight. Even your stillness shifts the atmosphere. Because your soul carries code. Spiritual code, ancient frequency, light that can't be dimmed by opinions, authority that doesn't need approval, a presence that commands, even when your lips say nothing. Let's tell the truth. It's not always easy. Sometimes that energy feels like a burden. People project onto you. They assume you're arrogant, cold, or mysterious, when really you're just being. They feel something when you walk in, and because they don't understand it, they fear it, or worse, they try to shrink it. But chosen one, never apologize for your light. Don't dim your glow to make the darkness comfortable. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:25. That verse isn't just a scripture. It's a description of you. You are that light. You are the one who walks in and everything realigns. Not because you want attention, but because you carry heaven's attention. So the next time people pause when you enter, the next time the air shifts without explanation, know this: it's not them reacting to you, it's their spirits responding to what's inside of you. Chosen one, you don't just enter rooms, you activate them. Chosen one, you've heard it before. You have such a calming presence. Your voice is so peaceful. There's something about your eyes. I can't explain it. And here's the part that stuns you. You weren't trying. You didn't dress up for attention. You didn't rehearse your tone or practice your walk. You were just being, just showing up raw, honest, maybe even tired. And still, people noticed. It's confusing at first, isn't it? They praise your energy, your smile, the way your presence shifts the room. And deep down you wonder, why me? I'm not even doing anything special. Sometimes you've even felt guilty for standing out, like you had to apologize for being noticed, like you should hide your light so no one thinks you're trying too hard. But hear this, chosen one. You're not being praised because of what you wear. You're not being seen because of your performance. You are being recognized because your soul is leaking light. This is what happens when a healed spirit walks through a wounded world. You've spent seasons in silence. You've faced storms no one else saw. You've cried yourself to sleep and still woke up with grace in your posture. And now, that inner beauty, refined through pain and prayer, is bleeding through your skin. You're glowing, not because of ego, but because of wholeness. This is what people sense but cannot explain. It's why they stop and say, "You have such a pure aura," even when you feel like you've barely made it out the door. They don't see your effort, they feel your essence. The world is trained to reward the flashy, but heaven endorses the authentic, and you, chosen one, are walking proof of that. Think about it. You didn't chase validation. You didn't beg to be seen. You didn't audition for favor, but favor found you anyway. That's not luck, that's alignment. You carry something timeless, something eternal, a spiritual fragrance that can't be sold or taught or faked. It's what happens when heaven breathes on your scars and turns them into testimonies. So the next time someone compliments you without reason, don't shrink, don't apologize, don't downplay it. Instead, smile and silently say, "They're not praising me, they're witnessing the light within me." Because chosen one, the light is not on your skin, it's under it. It's not in your clothes, it's in your calling. And no amount of humility requires you to dim what God has healed. You don't shine because you want to. You shine because you can't help it, and that is your signature. Chosen one. How many times has this happened? You're sitting at a bus stop, just minding your own business. A stranger sits beside you. You smile politely, and within minutes, they're telling you their story. Not the surface level stuff, but the deep things. The pain no one else knows. The trauma they've never spoken aloud. The secrets they thought they'd carry to the grave. It happens at grocery stores, in elevators, at work. Even online, someone messages you and says, "I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I feel like I can trust you." That's not a coincidence, that's a mantle. Because you, chosen one, are not just a person. You are a safe place wrapped in skin. People don't come to you because you have all the answers. They come because your presence tells their soul, "You won't be judged here. You can breathe here. You can be real here." And what's wild is, you didn't ask for this. You didn't raise your hand and say, "Yes, I'll carry the burdens of the world." But the anointing on your life said it for you. That's why people see you, and their soul remembers something ancient. Not your name, not your title, but your frequency. The world is loud, shallow, fake. But you listen, you see. You sit in silence without rushing to fix. And somehow, your silence feels like a hug, a shelter, a sacred confession booth in the middle of chaos. And yes, sometimes it's overwhelming. You go home carrying stories you didn't ask for. You feel heavy, even though you didn't speak. You cry and you're not sure why. But that's what happens when you're a vault for pain and hope at the same time. It's not weakness, it's sacred assignment. Heaven doesn't send everyone to stand on stages. Some are assigned to elevators, to sidewalks, to waiting rooms, to corners of the world where someone is about to break, and then they meet you, and they don't. Chosen one, You're not just a listener, you are a keeper of unspoken grief, a guardian of fragile stories, a vessel of God's quiet comfort. And here's the real mystery. The very things you thought disqualified you, your own wounds, your own silent battles, your own loneliness, are exactly what made you safe for others. Because pain makes you tender, and tenderness is where healing begins. So the next time a stranger leans in and says, "I don't know why I'm telling you this," just nod. You do know. You're not just someone passing by, you're someone heaven positioned right there, right then, to remind a soul you're not alone. You are seen. You are safe. That is the power of being chosen. Not to be loud, but to be true. Not to impress, but to carry. And not to fix, but to hold space until healing walks in. Chosen one. They say you're quiet. They say you're deep. They say you're hard to read. But here's the truth. It's not that you're trying to be mysterious. It's that heaven has wrapped you in divine silence. You don't talk much, not because you don't have thoughts, but because you have too many. And they run deep, like ancient rivers no one's ever charted. And you've learned over time that most people only want surface. They ask, "How are you?" But they don't really want to know. So you stay silent, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You've seen what happens when you speak truth too early, or reveal depth to someone still playing in the shallow. You've been burned by those who asked for honesty, but then ran when you showed them the real weight of your soul. So now you carry it quietly, the mystery, the knowing, the sacred insight, not because you're hiding, but because you're guarding something holy. People call it weird. They call it different. Some are drawn to you like a flame in the dark. Others pull away, sensing something in you they can't explain, but can't ignore. That's not by accident. That's a spiritual design. You were marked by heaven to be unreadable to the world, because your instructions don't come from this world. You walk in rooms with angelic assignments hovering beside you. You walk through conversations decoding spiritual patterns while everyone else talks about the weather. You feel tension in silence. You discern motives without hearing a word. You read atmospheres like scripture. You know when to speak and when to let heaven speak through your stillness. That's the mystery they feel. You've been preserved, not because you're lesser, but because you're heavier. Your silence isn't emptiness, it's protection, a holy shield over something precious inside. Think about it. Gold is buried, diamonds are hidden, scrolls are sealed, and those who carry revelation are often misunderstood. Even Jesus spoke in parables. Even prophets were called mad. Even messengers were sent into caves before they stood on mountains. You're not quiet because you don't matter. You're quiet because what you carry can't be shouted. And let me say this plainly. Chosen one, you were never meant to be understood by the masses. You were designed for divine timing. You're not withholding. You're being withheld by God. Until the moment you're released, until the moment your silence becomes strategy, until the moment heaven says, "Now, speak." So don't explain yourself. Don't lower your voice to be palatable. Don't rush to be defined by people who haven't earned access to your depth. You are not a mystery because you're hiding something. You are a mystery because you are something. Something holy, something ancient, something anointed. And when it's time, chosen one, the mystery will reveal itself, but not for entertainment, for transformation. Chosen one. They call you the strong one, the stable one, the one who always has it together. But they don't see the midnight tears. They don't feel the silent storms behind your eyes. They don't hear the battles you fight in secret. They think you're made of steel, but only heaven knows you've been held together by faith, breath, and a thread of purpose. You've walked into rooms carrying the weight of the world, smiling, nodding, serving, while something in you was quietly collapsing. But still, they lean on you. They trust you. They call when everything falls apart, because you are the one they believe won't. And here's what they don't understand. Your strength didn't come from comfort. It came from the fire, from every breakdown that didn't break you, from every night you prayed and heard no answer, but woke up anyway. You've mastered the art of looking fine while falling apart, not because you're fake, but because you know your collapse is not the end. It's the compression before expansion. It's lonely, isn't it? being the one who holds everyone else up, but rarely gets asked, "How are you doing?" Sometimes you wonder, why can't I be the fragile one? Why do I always have to be the strong friend, the one with answers, the one who keeps going? But deep down, you know your strength is not for applause, it's for assignment. You are a pillar. You are a bridge. You are a place where others find shelter. Not because you asked for it, but because heaven built you that way. And yes, it's unfair sometimes. Yes, you want someone to hold you for once. Yes, you want to collapse and have someone else catch the pieces. But don't you see, chosen one? Your ability to keep standing while everything shakes, that's not a curse. That's evidence of divine construction. You are not strong because you never feel weak. You are strong because weakness has visited your house many times, but never claimed your throne. You've cried and kept walking. You've feared and still obeyed. You've lost and still loved. You've been misunderstood, but never let it define you. Let me remind you, even Jesus wept. Even he was crushed in the garden. Even he asked if the cup could pass. But he still said, "Not my will." So hear this now. Your strength is not natural. It's not performative. It's not learned in books. It is heaven forged. And that's why it confuses people. That's why they think you're invincible. Because your glow is not from pride. It's from pressure. They see your light, but not the oil that's been pressed out of your soul. So what do you do with all this? You stand. You breathe. You rest when needed, but you never forget. You were not built for comfort. You were built for carrying things others could not. And when it feels too heavy, know this: you are not carrying it alone. The angels assigned to you, they know your name, they know your tears, and they are strengthening you in the unseen, even now. Chosen one, don't hide your shine just because you're tired. Even in your weariness, you are still a force of heaven on earth, chosen one. Have you ever walked into a room and the energy shifted? Not because of anything you said, not because of what you wore, but because you entered and something inside them reacted. They suddenly fix their hair, adjust their clothes, change their tone, look away when you look at them, laugh nervously, over-explain things they usually wouldn't. And you stand there wondering, did I do something wrong? Why do I feel like I always make people uncomfortable just by existing? Chosen one, listen closely. It's not that you make people uncomfortable, it's that your light does. Your purity exposes their pretending. Your clarity confronts their confusion. Your peace disrupts their performance. You are a mirror they didn't ask to look into, but one they can't avoid. When you walk in, everything false gets nervous. Not because you're aggressive, but because you carry something authentic. Your presence challenges people to be real. And that is terrifying for those still hiding behind masks. Some people feel shame around you, even if you've never judged them. Some people project onto you, even though you've never spoken a word. Why? Because your light activates their shadow. You've probably noticed it since you were young. Adults giving you strange looks, teachers treating you like a threat, peers keeping their distance without explanation. And it made you question yourself. You thought, maybe I'm too intense, maybe I need to shrink, maybe I need to soften my energy. But that's a lie from the pit. You were never the problem. It's the darkness in them that couldn't breathe around your fire. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to expose lies, expose manipulation, expose fake friendships, expose spiritual warfare hiding in plain sight. That's why the enemy tried to make you doubt your worth. That's why you felt guilty for simply existing. That's why people treated you like you were too much, because heaven placed too much power in you to be ignored. You are disruptive in the most divine way. Let me be even clearer. You didn't offend them. Their own unhealed places felt convicted in your atmosphere. And yes, it's a heavy burden to walk around carrying a frequency that reveals what others want hidden, to feel misunderstood over and over, to be punished not for what you do, but for who you are. But here's the soul truth. The misunderstood are often the most anointed. Even Jesus made people uncomfortable. Even he walked into religious spaces and turned tables. Not to shame, but to reveal. Not to condemn, but to cleanse. You are not called to be liked. You are called to be light. So stop apologizing for making the room shift. Stop shrinking so others can stay comfortable in their confusion. Stop watering down what God ignited inside of you. Your discomfort is a sign of your assignment. You were never meant to go unnoticed. Your silence shakes the air. Your presence calls people higher, and whether they admit it or not, they know there's something holy about you. Chosen one, don't dim, don't explain, don't run. Walk boldly, walk brightly, walk on, chosen one. You didn't ask for attention. You didn't chase the spotlight, but it came to you anyway. And with it came two very different energies, admiration and envy. You walk into a space and some are drawn to you, like thirsty souls to a well they didn't know they needed. They feel safe around you, seen in your presence, inspired by your resilience. They want to sit next to you. They want to ask you questions. They say, there's just something about you. But then there are others. They smile, but it doesn't reach their eyes. They laugh with you, but you feel the tension. They may not say anything out loud, but in your spirit you feel it. That subtle rejection, the quiet resistance. You're not imagining it. You're not being paranoid. You're feeling spiritual reactions, not social ones. Because light doesn't just attract, it exposes, and exposure always comes with a cost. You've probably asked yourself, why do I feel so isolated even when I'm surrounded by people? Why do some people love me instantly, while others seem uncomfortable for no reason? Here's why. You are walking, breathing revelation. You carry a frequency that resonates with some and agitates others. To those hungry for truth, you're a divine mirror. To those clinging to comfort and pretense, you're a threat. Even when you're silent, your soul triggers two reactions. Those who see your light and are drawn closer, and those who see your light and step away because it reminds them of what they're hiding. And that duality is lonely. You want to connect, but you don't know who's real. You want community, but feel unsure who's for you and who's just trying to stay close enough to feed off your shine without ever feeding your soul. Chosen one, hear this. This tension is confirmation. You were never built to blend. You were built to separate atmospheres. The attention you receive is not always affection. The smiles are not always sincerity. Some admire you because they see their future in your fire. Others envy you because your very existence reminds them they've ignored their calling. You're not just someone people notice. You're someone who awakens what others are trying to silence. That's why the people you barely speak to remember you. That's why the ones who once walked with you now watch from a distance. It's not personal, it's spiritual. Because when heaven places a mantle on your life, it creates a magnetic field, one that draws the broken and disturbs the fake. You are not just seen, you are felt. But here's the word for your soul. Do not change to be more palatable. Do not dim so they feel less insecure. Do not question your anointing because others are uncomfortable in their own delay. Let their reactions be your revelation. Let their confusion be your confirmation. Because chosen one, when you carry light, you will always have two crowds. Those who follow and those who plot, but neither one can stop what's already written. Walk on, chosen one. You don't raise your voice. You don't demand attention. You don't try to be seen. And yet, you are. You could be standing in the shadows of the room, and eyes will still find you. You could be quietly listening, and people will lean in, waiting for you to speak. You could be trying to disappear, and the atmosphere still shifts because of your presence. Why? Because you are not just a person, you are a spiritual frequency, a transmitter of divine energy, tuned to a wavelength that most can't describe, but everyone feels. From the moment you walk into a space, there is a ripple, not a disruption, not a disturbance, but a divine signal that echoes through the room. People don't just notice you, they're drawn to you, like moths to a flame they can't resist, even when they don't understand it. You felt this your whole life. As a child, teachers looked at you differently. As a teenager, peers came to you with secrets, not knowing why they trusted you. Even now, strangers glance twice. People ask your opinion in rooms where you barely speak. You hold the energy that others don't even know they're looking for. And yet, inside you often feel tired, not from noise, but from caring. You didn't ask to be the center. You didn't sign up to carry a presence so loud without ever raising your voice. Sometimes you wish you could just exist quietly, unseen, untouched, unnoticed. But hear this, you were not chosen to blend. You were marked to transmit. You're not just in the room, you're anchoring it. Your presence calibrates the atmosphere. Your silence speaks truth. Your eyes hold the weight of messages too sacred for words. And yes, that responsibility is heavy, but it's also holy. You are what heaven calls a frequency keeper, not because you're always right, not because you're always ready, but because your soul is connected to something far deeper than the noise around you. You don't just enter rooms, you redefine them. Not by force, but by presence. Not by trying, but by being. That's why people feel convicted just by sitting next to you. That's why friends say things like, I don't know why, but I feel different when I'm around you. That's why even on your worst days, someone still looks to you like you're the answer. Because you are not background, you are a beacon. Chosen one, it's time to stop apologizing for your energy. Stop shrinking to make others feel comfortable. Stop questioning why the light keeps choosing you. It's because you've been prepared to carry it. You are not exhausting, you are extraordinary. You are not too much. You are just enough to awaken the sleeping ones. So let the stares continue. Let the whispers rise, let the tension come. Because when God places a transmitter in the room, the static has no choice but to quiet. Your presence is not an accident, it is a signal. Chosen one. Let's tell the truth you've always known, but never had the words to speak. You've never felt like you truly fit in. Not in the classroom, not in the group chat, not even in your own family at times. Yes, you've played the part. You've smiled at the right times, said what you were expected to say. You've worn the right clothes, attended the right events, laughed when it was safe. But deep down, you were always watching life from a different angle. Like you had been placed here, not born here. Since childhood, you've carried a silent sadness, a homesickness, not for a location, but for a dimension. Like your soul remembers a place where love wasn't questioned, where truth didn't need to be defended, where you didn't have to dim your light just to survive. You've walked through life like a traveler in disguise, like someone who landed on this earth with a map that no one else can read. You tried to explain this ache to others, but they called it overthinking. You tried to share your dreams, but they called it too deep. You tried to rest in their comfort, but it never quite reached your bones. And still, you've wondered, why can't I just be normal? Why does everything feel like it's missing something? Why do I feel like I'm in a world I don't fully understand? Let me answer you clearly, because you weren't born to belong here. You were sent, not to fit in, but to shift frequencies. You are a spiritual disruptor, a divine recalibration point, a holy contradiction that makes the earth remember what heaven feels like. Yes, that comes with pain. Yes, it comes with loneliness. Yes, it comes with the unbearable feeling that maybe something is wrong with you. But let me assure you, Anna, nothing is wrong with you. Everything wrong around you is simply too small for who you are becoming. The world wanted you silent. Heaven designed you to resonate. The system wanted you obedient. God designed you to awaken. They wanted you to blend in. You were built to stand out. You don't belong because you're becoming. You're evolving, expanding, awakening. Not to be accepted by the old, but to lead the new. So next time you feel out of place, remember, prophets rarely fit in with the crowd. Warriors don't gather at tea parties. Kings don't take votes from peasants before they rise. And you weren't chosen to belong. You were commissioned to rebuild. That invisible ache, it's not your weakness. It's your compass. It's what keeps you searching, not for a place to hide, but for the place you'll rise. So don't numb it, don't run from it, don't curse it. You were never supposed to feel at home here. Because the home you're looking for, you're meant to build it, not find it. Chosen one, walk boldly in your otherness. You were never lost, you were always sent. Chosen one, listen to me carefully, and not with your ears, but with your spirit. The reason people stare at you without knowing why, the reason strangers feel something shift when you enter the room, the reason you've always felt different, set apart, marked, it's not your looks, it's not your style, it's not your tone. It's your frequency. You don't walk like everyone else, because your footsteps carry the drumbeat of another realm. You don't speak like everyone else, because your voice is wired to trigger remembrance in sleeping spirits. You don't just live, you transmit. Heaven encoded you before you were born, not for popularity, but for impact. You are not just liked. You are recognized, even by those who've never met you, because your soul carries something ancient, something eternal, something that rings like a bell in the spirit realm when you show up. You are the alarm they've been trying to silence. You are the frequency that exposes what's fake. You are the truth teller that makes lies uncomfortable. You are the living proof that darkness cannot win. You've been wondering, why does my presence shift atmospheres? Why do people confess things to me they never tell anyone? Why do I feel like I'm constantly disrupting something I didn't even start? Because you were sent to disturb the slumber of the world. Let me be direct. Your life is not about being understood. Your mission is not about being liked. Your identity is not about comfort. You are the signal, the wake-up call, the divine interruption. You carry the sound of truth, the fire of remembrance, and the scent of home for those who've been spiritually starving. So don't shrink to fit the silence. Don't mute your light to avoid attention. Don't apologize for making the atmosphere feel charged. That's your purpose. You are the one that makes demons nervous before you even say a word. You are the one heaven releases like a trumpet blast into dark territories. You are the bridge between what is and what's meant to be. Chosen one. The time to be passive has expired. The time to dim yourself is over. The time to question your calling has ended. Now is the time to step fully into what you've been carrying all along. So if your spirit is burning as you hear this, if you feel that familiar fire rising in your chest, if you know this is not entertainment but an activation, then comment 111 below. Not for likes, not for the algorithm, but as a spiritual signal. A confirmation to heaven that you heard the call, and this time you're going to answer it.